What's up, everybody? Rothstein here, Betting Public Sports Show. I'm your beloved host, Fame Rothstein, aka Malcolm Excellence. Today's Thursday, Today's Thursday, February 5th, 2026. Please like and subscribe to the video, to the channel. Leave comments, share the video. All right. Just remember, Saturday I'll have some sports betting action for you. Okay, and then Sunday I'll have some for you too. But Sunday will be all Super Bowl related. You know, I can tell you right now, one of them will not be the color of Gatorade. All right? I'm not concerned with that. All right? But at any rate, like I said, like and subscribe. I ain't going to hold you too long. I just want to, talk about Cooper Flagg. The NBA rookie, basketball rookie from Duke, playing for the Mavericks right now. And I just want to say, the reason why you have Cooper Flagg is because of these housing choice owners in the government. Yes. Cooper Flagg, white guy, 6'9", 6'10", does a little bit of everything. Plays point guard, be dunking on motherfuckers, like dunking on people. Cocking it back on motherfuckers. Pardon me. And, he's basically, the American white savior of basketball. And I don't have a problem with him. The dude can ball. Like I said, you can say what you want about people from Duke, but if you go to Duke, you're a baller. You can play. And he's, averaging like 20 points a game his rookie year, maybe even a little more, because, he just had like 47 the other night, and then, came back with like 30-something. A couple nights ago and whatnot. Like, dude is balling. And, the Euros and just foreign-born players have been dominating basketball the past, 5-10 years. Giannis, Doncic, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joker, Nikola Jokic, out there in Denver. SGA, for the Thunder, they won the title last year. Just foreign-born players have been dominating, basketball. Even though, basketball was made in Canada, it's been, dominated the last 50 years by Black Americans. Take out Larry Bird. Except for Larry Bird, the best, players for the last 50 years other than Larry Bird have been Black Americans. And that shit's over with. Because the best Black American players right now, Jaylen Brown maybe. Jason Tatum's out. Jaylen Brown, his teammate for the Celtics. Who else? That's all I can think of, honestly. Just off top. I'm sure if I, thought about it a little more, I could probably come up with more. But just off top, it's just them two. And that's why it's imperative that Cooper Flagg dominates and is good so that we can have Americans. I don't care if he is white, so that we can have Americans back at the top of basketball. But the reason why Cooper Flagg is dominant is because, like I said, you housing choice owners, you multiple property owners, the guys, who own these properties in the suburbs and, take them, and let them be rented out, from Section 8, because Section 8 will pay it more than what it's supposed to, more than you expect. And, some y'all, a lot of young Black players have moved in there. Now, granted, there's training and whatnot involved as well. But let me just tell you something. Somebody who left the hood, got a job and, moved up out of there, back in and out. But I'm going to tell you right now, one thing about the hood is when you leave it, the grit, the energy, the soul of it, it leaves you too. That stuff about you take the boy out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the boy. That's doing shit like fighting and knocking off, random girls and things like that. Taking down random girls and things like that. That are just kind of, customary in the hood. You'll lose a lot of it. Some of it you won't, but you'll lose a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? If it's a 2K meter, you know, your hood was 100. You know, once you move out of it, it's going to drop down to about 60. And so you lose that grit, that determination, you know, from the hood. And, you know, when you move out to the burbs and whatnot, and that's what's going on with these Black American players. They don't live in the hood anymore. Same thing with rap music. Rap music got real goofy. I mean, don't get it twisted. It still had its hood shit because they were hood rappers. But a lot of the rappers that like started blowing up, like they were just weirdos, like doing weird suburban shit. You know, I mean, they wasn't even like, I mean, like, you know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like rappers were just known for selling cocaine and smoking weed and drinking. But, you know, some of these weirdos came through, started taking pills and all that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? And same thing with the hoopers. You know, these guys, you know, they don't, you know, they just come out try to dunk and shoot threes. You know, basic game. You know what I'm saying? And that has come to pass at the NBA level because there's no real ball players. Kind of the same thing with these RPO quarterbacks in football. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's been taught how to, you know, read a defense and you know, throw a rail shot in that cover two and whatnot. Nobody's been really taught that. You know, these RPO quarterbacks have basically been told, you know, if your first option ain't open, pull the ball down and go. You know, a lot of these dudes came from suburban high schools. You know, they were the incredible black athlete at their high school, at their suburban high school, and that's why they didn't, you know, really learn to, you know, pick apart a defense like that with the pass, because they were, you know, just allowed to just, you know, rest on their athletic laurels. And, you know, the hood and grit determination would have you wanting to go out there and do things differently. You know, playing football and hoop too. Like I said, all that. So I really blame that you multi-homeowners that you know, that bought these properties in the suburbs and started leasing them out, and, you know, started putting affordable housing. You know, not necessarily in the suburbs like apartments and whatnot, but yeah, I've seen communities that fight that. Like, no, we don't want that in our neighborhood. We don't want that in our community. But I've seen, you know, like, trust me, where I live at right now, there's places, you know, 30 years ago when I was in high school, 32 years ago when I graduated, there were places that you would never think black people would be at. Now, you know, these certain high schools, they damn near half black now in certain communities. Like, damn, for real? They got black people out there? You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Cooper Flagg is necessary, but this is why he is who he is. You know, not saying somebody would, you know, black players would have shut him down, but, you know, he basically doing what the black players was doing. You know, coming, running, and dunking on people. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to his dad for making him be, you know, extra athletic on that field, on that court, rather. So, what do you think? You know, what happened? What happened to the American hooper? What happened to the American hooper? Why does he not any good anymore? You know, especially the black hoopers. Like, what happened to y'all? I mean, I can ball, but my hoop game's sloppy, if you understand what I'm saying. Shout out Cameron. Speaking of Cameron, happy birthday, belated. His birthday was yesterday. You know, February 4th. You know, like the song says, 204-76. They wired my mom a couple weeks prior to Ja. You know what I'm saying? Ja Rule. But listen, yeah, what do you think is the issue with the American hooper, especially the black hooper, the black rapper? You know, you get in that suburban shit, like, it's just not really, you know, I'm not saying it ain't you, yes, because you need to get up out of that. But it does, like, you know, change your mentality, change your mental as to what you know, find appropriate and whatnot. Some of it for the good, some of it for the bad, some of it just, it is what it is. So what do you think? Let me know. Put it in the comments. And these questions and more will be answered on the next episode of Soap.